my last video I hit 1000 subscribers and it really means a lot to me, so I want to thank you all very much for sticking around. And to celebrate I installed better lighting. Look at these bad boys! This month I went to a lot of festivals. I've always loved music but I never really tried it myself. So that's what I'll do now. I'm going to make my own instruments and hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. You might recall this cigar box from a previous video, and when I said I had some plans for this, well, this is what I meant. I'm going to use this cigar box to turn it into a guitar, or a cigar box guitar. Now, one of the reasons I chose this cigar box is because it's made out of solid hardwood. And also it says bass, which I think is pretty funny. Alright, enough said, let's get to it. For the neck I'm using this long piece of hardwood. I'm not really sure what kind it is, but it seems plenty strong. I'm cutting one end at about 30 degrees to create the headstock, and I'm also cutting a longer piece to thicken out the end of the neck, where the body will be. So now it's time to glue all three pieces together. I'm not very careful with the wood glue because I want everything to be really strong. And I'll clean up any spillouts after the glue has set. The neck is still too long for the cigar box, but I'll cut it to length when I know the right measurements. I used a tiny screw to keep the head onto the neck, because clamping two angled pieces together is quite difficult. And with some planing, that's the neck blank, all done. So what I need to do now is decide where I'm gonna put the bridge and the pickup. Now I'm putting this here because I want this label to be visible. So now I know I have to cut away some wood here so the pickup can sit into the neck, and I have to add some wood to the neck where the bridge will be so I can screw it down into the neck and not just the box. I also covered up the hole from the screw in the neck with a dowel. So as you can see here, the headstock is just a little bit too big for the tuners. So I have to cut off a little piece from the headstock, just to make it a bit thinner. I also reinforced the bottom panel by gluing in an extra piece of plywood. The next thing I need to do is cut a hole in the box so I could put the neck inside like this. Now this is a risky process because I only have one of these cigar boxes. So I now have to do the same thing on the lid of the cigar box. But as you can see, the neck of the guitar is still a bit too big to fit inside the box. So now that I've cleared some more material on the top side, the neck fits snugly in the box. So when I close it, it's already really tight. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is round off all the corners so the neck feels a bit smoother in my hands. And I'm doing this by rasping and filing down the edges at 45 degrees. It's the fastest way, I think. I'll then go back with sandpaper to remove any scratches in the wood. I'm gonna use a standard bolt as the nut of the guitar, and some oak trim for the fretboard, which is coincidentally the same width as the neck of the guitar. And for the tuning pegs, I just mark punched and drilled 4 holes. So now that the neck is all done, it's time for some finish. I'm staining the neck in a dark walnut because I think it will look better in contrast with the oak fretboard I want to use. So usually to decide the fret position, a guitar maker would take a measurement from the nut all the way to the bridge, put it in a fret calculator or something else, and then you'll have the position of the frets exactly where they need to be. Now this is a little bit different because I want my fretboard to overhang the neck of the guitar and also the box, so I can't really glue it on the neck just as it is now. So I'll need to mark the fret position on the fretboard before I glue it on. Now the only way I can do this is because I already know where I'm going to put the bridge and the nut. So I already know this distance and therefore also know my fret positions. So I can just mark these on the fretboard separately and then glue everything together. I went with 19 frets total and marked them all according to the fret calculator. Being very careful the lines were square, I made the first pass with a pool saw and later came back with a very thin saw to make the grooves a little deeper. So after cutting all 19 pieces of fret wire to roughly the width of the fretboard, I hammered them into the wood, securing them with a drop of superglue. Followed by trimming the excess fret wire with a cut-off wheel on the Dremel tool and filing everything down so I won't cut my fingers. So I'm not going to put the pickups square onto the box, instead I'll put it at an angle and cut the fretboard down to length following that same angle. So now I have to cut a hole in the lid for the pickup to sit in. I now need to make some room for the pickup in the neck piece. So I'll have to cut away this piece of material right here. Since I don't have enough space left on the front side of the cigar box, I'm thinking of putting the knobs on this side. And the jack, of course, needs to be in the far left corner there. So now I'm going to drill some holes and put these where I want them. I glued some support blocks on the lid of the cigar box. So together with the countersunk holes on the bottom panel, I can use these to screw the box shut when everything is in place. So I think I've got all my pieces here. I've got a neck, a bridge, the cigar box, the fretboard, the pickup, the nut and some tuners. So now it's time to assemble. Oh wait, I still have to indicate the frets. But to do this, I'll have to go to the other shop. Follow me! With a soldering iron, I burned some marks in the fretboard on the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 2 on the 12th, then again 1 on the 15th, 17th and 19th fret. So finally, it's time to assemble all the pieces. Now it's important to make sure the wires and cables don't interfere with any of the other components and that they are put away from where the screws will go. So making sure the neck is square with the box, it's time to screw it down. Here I'm installing the pickup by bolting the cover plate back onto the body and then screwing the cover plate in the lid of the box. So now I have to mount the bridge exactly where I calculated the frets for. And in doing this, I need to make sure the bridge is properly centered on the box. Followed by marking and pre-drilling the holes and then screwing the bridge onto the lid into the neck. Alright, almost done, just need to glue on the fretboard. I'm not using too much glue this time, but I am spreading it out so all the edges get glued down. I can still open the box if needed by removing the screws from the bottom and neck. So all the hardware is now installed. I just need to put on some screws where I made the holes so the lid stays shut. So as you can see, the lid can still move a little, but I want the cigar box to be one solid body. So I'm screwing through the bottom panel into the wooden blocks I glued onto the inside of the lid earlier. I chose the lowest 4 strings from an electric guitar set because I'm going for a warm and bassy sound. So I fed the wires through the bridge and wound them on the tuners. First spacing all 4 strings evenly on the neck, then really pulling them down by tuning the tuners even further. I tuned the guitar to G, C, E, A, which is a basic ukulele tuning. Alright, let's hear how this bad boy sounds. Oh yeah. Needless to say, I'm really happy with this cigar box guitar thingy. Looks amazing, sounds great. I still need to practice a lot, but I'll get there eventually. I mean, it was a lot of work putting this together. It took me about a week to build this, and yeah, absolutely worth it. Links of all the products I used will be in the description below. If you have any tips to share, please let me know because I really love building this kind of stuff. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more random builds, and see you in the next one.